Unmute. Hello, good morning.
Well, good morning, Lloyd. How are you?
Sorry for being a couple minutes late. I am fantastic today.
It's working. It's working.
So it's just the two of us for now. Okay.
No, they're John Baptiste is here, as is
Okay.
Lowell.
All right. I just only see your photo on my screen. That's all.
Well, Lowell just activated his video, and so did John Baptiste.
Oh, excellent. Okay. It's just the layout of the screen. I only see you. There we go.
How about that?
That's much better.
Good
Yeah.
morning.
Greetings,
Yeah, no,
everyone.
I had a really good meeting yesterday with Jim Jones, our regional councillor
Okay.
for the region of York, who the gentleman that got elected and wants to build those. His grand plan is to build those 16 transit hubs
Congratulations.
That's his big plan, and he gave me his plan.
Wow.
This is a 54-page document with all the details for a regional transit plan that he wants to implement. I didn't know this, but he was a top manager at IBM Canada.
Okay.
Now retired and trying to implement everything we want to do. Almost everything we want to do.
Let's
is
help
in
him,
here.
Lloyd. Let's help him.
Literally, oh, absolutely. He got everything that I was doing. He's brilliant. I knew this was something, but then I didn't realize just how much it is. I mean, if you go to the back of it, he's talking about almost everything that we've been talking about. Like, what we need to do is get Michael Rendler to do a presentation for the region of York and all the councillors.
How soon?
He asked me yesterday to please invite him to our Drawdown Markham meeting next Tuesday.
Okay, can you send me the invitation by email? Then
Yeah,
I'll connect with Michael.
I will absolutely do that, because what I've mentioned in a recent email is that I would like to dedicate next Tuesday's Drawdown Markham meeting to formally creating PodNet GTA.
Okay.
And PodNet GTA will then support 25 INAB collaboratives, starting here in York Region.
Well, you may or may not know it, but PodNet has been a member of the Encounter think tank since Richard Nelson was introduced by Lynn Crandall. And it's Michael Rendler's wife, Professor Marcella Oliva, that's at the head of that. You may be able to get both of them to attend.
I'm hoping so, because
make sure when you send the email out, include all the information about what it is, and then we'll make it happen, Lloyd.
Absolutely.
This is why we're created to do this, right? This is why we're here.
Absolutely. This is why we were here. And I wanted to mention to you as well, because I mentioned as well, I said Drawdown Markham is partnered with 5 Points Youth Foundation. 5 Points Youth Foundation is working in Los Angeles, and basically what they want to do is they want to reimagine their communities. I mean, this is the early talks we had with Michael, right? Michael Rendler.
Yeah.
As reimagine the communities, because the Olympics is coming up in 2028, right? And
the World Cup is coming here in 2026.
Right. But basically, council member Jim Jones said he would like to issue a bid to host what was it? There's a big event, the Commonwealth Games in 2030.
Okay.
So he wants Markham to host Commonwealth Games in 2030.
Wow.
And so he hopes to be able to get support from York Region. That's what he had a follow-up meeting later yesterday after he met with me.
Okay.
And he was excited to find out that 5 Points Youth Foundation, our partner in Los Angeles, is doing similar work in trying to reimagine their communities ahead of the Olympics. And he said, this is the perfect partner community for us to work together to reimagine each of our own communities, taking this transit hub concept. So his idea, if you look at the title, transit-oriented communities. So what he wants to do is those 16 transit hubs, setting up the vertical gardens, setting up vertical farms in every one of them, along with automated automated transportation systems like driverless vehicles and all kinds of stuff. Because he was one of the head of IBM at that time doing automated communities.
In the chat, I put a link to the Southern California Association of Governments. They're the ones that have a regional transportation plan for 2024 through 2050. But it is actually the group here called Hope. Let's see. The name Slate Z. Okay, let me try this right here. We have a team here that is represented by Michael Wendler that created this SlateZ.org, I believe it is, that is a community-based group think tank that aligns itself with the Metropolitan Transit Authority for transit-oriented development throughout the entire South Los Angeles area. So Michael was an architect of that, along with Marcella Oliva. We'd be happy to bring our expertise to whatever you're trying to accomplish. Exactly.
I mean, what he's written here is basically his motivation is he has a few motivations for why he wants to do this.
Okay.
One of which is achieving net zero, right? And bringing us to zero, bringing us negative. He actually mentions it in the report. He needs to bring us to negative emissions, CO2 emissions, right? So it needs to be more than net zero. And it also needs to be, as he said, about, and this is the conversation around food, is about self-sufficiency in all respects, but especially around food. And especially around, actually, in a way, it's ironic. What he says is I'm really worried about California because of the droughts, because of the fires, because of climate change. He goes, we cannot count on them for our food.
But it's the floods now, right? Like I think.
And we're your biggest trading partners, just to let you know. California.
Yeah, well, California is one of the largest economies on the planet.
But to do all that infrastructure, I don't know. Like, oh my God.
So look, 11 acts, 12 actors. Do you want to go ahead and get started? And I'm going to mute Lowell unless he can mute himself. And perhaps you could share your screen, Lloyd, and I'll start. I have my normal weekly thing, but I like your graphic better than mine. You think you could share your graphic?
All right.
And then I'll begin recording.
Let me just start it just in a second here. I need to maximize my screen. And I will share screen.
And Patrick, thanks for joining us. I may have to leave soon, so Patrick, I made you co-host and others. So just, everyone here is a co-host. So pay attention to people coming in if you would. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a good introduction. Just I'm hyped about that meeting.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna start recording it, and I'm gonna turn it over to you, Lloyd, and I'll come back to you when I get through at my next meeting.
All right. Okay, so thank you very much, Andrew. So
recording is in progress. Now you can begin.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Andrew. I do like to start. We are on week 84 of our IGU Summit, our Indigenous Global Unity Summit events. So 84 weeks. We are in the second week of January in 2023. As always, I do like to start these events with a land acknowledgement. We wish to acknowledge those who came before us on this land by acknowledging that we walk upon the traditional territories of Indigenous peoples, and we recognize their history, spirituality, culture, and stewardship of the land. We're grateful to all Indigenous groups for their commitment to protecting the land and its resources. We are committed to reconciliation, partnership, and enhanced understanding. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on here in the Greater Toronto Area is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Wendat, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee, as well as the Anishinaabe peoples, and is now home to many diverse peoples. We'd also like to acknowledge the land we are on here is at the meeting place of two treaties, the lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit and those of the First Nations of the Williams Treaty. We would thank them and other Indigenous peoples for sharing this land with us. We also acknowledge and recognize all of the world's Indigenous peoples as stewards of Mother Earth. I do also like to say Sawubona. This means I see you, I see myself in you, I see your hopes, your dreams, and your struggles. I see your ancestors as well. Because interconnectedness does not end with two people who are greeting each other. It extends to include the ancestors. All beings and Mother Nature are interconnected. There is no sense of being separate. I see myself in all beings, and therefore, if I harm other beings or Mother Nature, it translates into harming myself. Before I get to talking about the events coming up, I wanted to mention our UnityNet Living Recalendar, which I have now added to the presentation as well. This is still in draft, but it is something that I have been creating for 2023. This is the at a glance version. We will have an online version eventually as well. During our last Drawdown Markham meeting last December as well, we had also discussed parts of our Drawdown Markham and UnityNet GTA plan for 2023 that revolves around those 4 key community engagement events that we would like to do in 2023. And you can see them highlighted by the bright red in the calendar. That's in April, in June, in August, and in October. So the 4 events include an Undrip Day on Earth Day, Saturday, April 22nd. This is the event where we will do drumming at city halls with the Indigenous peoples. This is the day we also engage with the students at our local schools to start having them planning and building their own local youth peace gardens in their own local communities. And then the second event is our Abraham Project Tree Planting Day on World Environment Day, which is Monday, June 5th. This is the day where we plant those trees of peace and reconciliation and raise the Indigenous unity flags in celebration at those youth peace gardens that the young people in our local communities established with their schools and the rest of the community members. And these are where we create the INAB collaboratives in our local, which are our local empowerment networks for the humanitarian entrepreneurs in our local communities. The INAB cooperative entities that form the backbone of our network of networks we call UnityNet. The third event is the International Youth Day on Saturday, August 12th. This is the date for our Bubble Fun festivals. So keep this date open because it is where we can come back to those youth peace gardens and celebrate our diversity as localized communities of equals. Each one of us human beings in our local communities who are globalizing the global goals through the development of the partnerships in our local communities, where each of us helps to ensure those humanitarian entrepreneurs are empowered by the members of the INAB collaboratives. And the fourth event is Global Cooperation Day on Wednesday, October 4th. This is our Ubuntu Summit event, which also launches the Global Climate Smart Youth Forum Hybrid Learning Week programs that take place until Monday, October 16th, which is World Food Day, where we'll wish to do some significant programs and in-person events here in the city of Markham, in the region of York here in Ontario, Canada, in the Rouge and Don watersheds of the Great Lakes of Turtle Island, in partnership with our own local schools here in the Greater Toronto Area, schools like York University and Seneca College, and the local schools and teachers from the Catholic and secular school boards who wish to work with us through Drawdown Markham and our partnerships as we create our own local INAB collaboratives here in the GTA, where we may have as many as 25 of these local empowerment networks established in the next few years, with at least 3 by the end of 2023 that we're hoping in Markham, Vaughan, and Richmond Hill. So the INAB Collaborative Cooperative Empowerment Networks for our local young people and the humanitarian entrepreneurs who are localizing the global goals here in Canada. So please join us through Drawdown Markham in UnityNet GTA, UnityNet Ontario, and UnityNet Canada. And if you're living in another part of the country, in another country, or on another continent like Africa, please join our UnityNet CTP program so we coordinate our activities and partner through each of our own local INAB collaborative teams. One last thing that I wanted to mention is that next Tuesday, January 17th, we have our next Drawdown Markham virtual event. And at that event, we plan to establish our PodNet GTA Enterprise Network, which will also support the 25 INAB collaboratives that we intend to create here in the Greater Toronto Area. As you see, we will be doing everything through the INAB collaboratives, including regenerative finance, and of course, empowering our humanitarian entrepreneurs who are globalizing the global goals in each of our own local communities, wherever we are in the world. This is the essence of the Global Unity Network, a network of local interfaith, neighborhood, academic, and business collaboratives who are changing the paradigm of development globally, basically one community at a time. So I did want to mention as well the events that are coming up. The FAO just came out with a newsletter. I thought that was fairly important. I would like to open the chat. I haven't opened it yet to this point. So this FAO newsletter had quite a few interesting articles noting that 2023 is the International Year of Millets, where FAO has a special website just for this year. It will be something to take a look at. They also talked about COP15 and the adoption of the what's called the Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, noting that it will increase demand for FAO's expertise, but it will in turn also increase demand, hopefully, for our own network experts who are with us. Saying FAO calls for fully funded at-scale sustained livelihood support to pull people from the brink of famine in Somalia. Apparently there is an issue around this food security in Somalia. We do not have a network in that country in Africa. It is unfortunate, but there is strong focus right now in that country. They also noted that at COP15, FAO North America, their director was on hand for discussion with partners from the Canadian government, with the director of FAO North America Liaison Office, Jocelyn Brown Hall, being part of the delegation at COP15. So on the sidelines of the conference, Brown Hall participated in bilateral discussions between Global Affairs, Canada Director General of Food Security and Environment, Christine Campbell, and Deputy Director General Maria Paulina Semedo, or Semedo. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that name, but I am putting this information in the chat. It seems that Canada is very much involved in many of these initiatives that are happening through the FAO. I also noted the IPCC is the International Plant Protection Convention, or IPPC, sorry, something I had not heard about. This is apparently a strategic framework for the International Plant Protection Convention. Again, IPPC. which is a 2020 to 2030 global body for protecting plant health, something, again, I had not heard of. But they are now doing a scientific review of the impact of climate change on plant pests. And recently, the Secretary of the International Plant Protection Convention, this IPPC, Osama El-Lissi, met with senior officials in Ottawa and Washington, D.C. as well, in discussions, especially with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, Global Affairs Canada, and Senators Harder and Black. Secretary El-Lissi emphasized the importance of what's called phytosanitary measures to protect plant health, human health, food security, and global trade, noting that the Canadian government has been a steadfast supporter of IPPC's mandate. I'm not sure how long that's been, but this is yet another organization that we should probably try to interact with. There is also something that the FAO launched called the Women's Empowerment Farmer Business School. So again, there is a link in the chat. They also published the statistical yearbook, World Food and Agriculture 2022, which is a data about last year's production numbers globally. There was also an assessment of agricultural plastics and their sustainability. And of course, we do now have UnityNet Plastics Network to try to deal with those issues around plastics. Of course, plastics used in agriculture is beneficial in many ways, but also in some ways detrimental. And there's the status of digital agriculture in 47 sub-Saharan African countries. This is a report that was done again by the FAO, just recently published. Again, there's a link in the chat. I do want to mention today, again, is Thursday, January 12th, 2023. It is week 84 of our IGU Summit series, the second of our IGU Summit events for 2023. So the guest speaker for today, let's hope that they are on with us. I'm not sure if I see them today. Does anybody remember their name at this point? I have to go back to my notes about the announcement I just made yesterday and this morning. So Margaret Shalom Nkwasi from UnityNet Malawi. So if somebody does see Margaret coming on with us, please let me know. From UnityNet Malawi. They did agree to do this presentation just a few days ago. At the last minute, we had decided that we would have this guest speaker for today. But if they are not able to get on to the call with us, I can always go through the regular presentation that I had done for the past couple of weeks. I have no additional significant changes, so if people have seen it, we can have a discussion instead. But if people would like to see it one more time, I can do that. So at this point, I could do this again, the same presentation I did last week. The only additional slide I added to the presentation this week was what you're looking at right now, this UnityNet Living Read calendar, which is, again, unfinished. I have done, as you can see, all of the pretty colors in February, especially. There are a lot of UN events in February, which we can align ourselves with potentially as well. But the big events are those in yellow. Those are our IGU Summit events every Thursday, and the monthly Drawdown Markham event, which is here in orange on every third Tuesday of the month. So coming up, you can see in the calendar, we have past World Wetlands Day and the International Day of Human Fraternity and Zero Tolerance for Genital Mutilation on February 6th. World Pulses Day was 2 days ago. International Day for Women and Girls was yesterday.
Excuse me,
of
Lloyd.
course- Mhm.
Lloyd, I just came in for a second. I see that your guest speaker is not here, but
Mhm.
perhaps you could introduce your guests, and then that will give your speaker time to get here, or then after that you can proceed with your normal presentation. Just a thought.
Yeah, no, this is what I was trying to see if we can move forward with either having a discussion, open session, and have everybody introduce themselves. I think that's important to do as well. So let's see who's on the line with us. Ladies first. I'm seeing Lisa Anise Sutphin. Are you able to unmute yourself, Lisa?
Yes, I certainly am. And in fact, you'll get to see my face. So maybe. I don't know. The camera turned on.
There it is.
I can't see my face because you've got something else up there. But I'm happy to introduce myself. My name is Lisa Anise Sutphin. I'm a member of the International Dance Council Division of UNESCO. My goodness, I've been taking on a number of different roles, kind of a Jill of all trades, but helping interview the people who'll be doing a lot of help on the grounds, the CBOs and NGOs in each community, which we are organizing in a pattern very similar to that of non-governmental organizations the world over. Slightly different way of setting up these partnerships, but the unique position of the African continent demands it, and especially a number of other countries that we're already in, working with the people who already know what the people need. So looking forward to moving through this next phase of operations where we get their community partnerships a little more resolved and working together. And then after that, of course, we'll be expanding our own network of associates here that make these contacts and help everybody to get things to work. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And we're hoping, of course, Lisa Anise is in California as well. There is an interesting trade relationship. I don't know if you could call it trade relationship or some kind of, that is my alarm. They're doing a fire alarm test in my building today, unfortunately. So actually, before the fire alarms do go off, I did want to mention that hopefully we are hoping that Canada and California can work closely together through this nature protection agreement that was created, especially with Lisa Anise and also all those folks in Los Angeles, so we can really move forward on this agenda of protecting nature, because that was the essence of the agreement. And so as we build out our communities with infrastructure that we call regenerative climate smart infrastructure, we also want to restore our watersheds as best as we can wherever we are. And that, I think, is part of the holistic view of rediscovering ourselves as human beings connected to nature.
Okay.
And so,
well, Lloyd, I have a suggestion on that. Let's see about bringing that to the table on Saturday's Hip Hop Congress Clubhouse meeting. If there's some way that we can get something in writing so that you can still observe and get that presented to the group, I'm certain that they could start to mobilize other members to reach out and start to get a coalition going.
Exactly. So this is I think an important initiative to move forward in support of that agreement between Canada and California. We've mentioned it a few times, but I think it's time in 2023 to create active mobilization around it.
Yes, and the more quickly we level our intent the more easily we'll be able to move forward in the present administration.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I think especially in the U.S., of course, with the new Congress.
yeah, no, what, I mean,
But
well,
of course, this is a state initiative, I think, right? So,
this is a state initiative, and California is the largest economy in the country. So we get a lot of carte blanche. But the other part here is we've been going through a series of events that historically have led to civil wars. There are those who are happy to say that we've been in a civil war for about 3 years. In certain ways, we have, but it's best to try to get certain things started as soon as we can so that those structures are starting to move to be in place before any of this other business occurs, because who knows what's coming around the bend. So,
well, one thing I would like to do is get York University connected to the universities that you are connected to in California and also in Los Angeles, of course, to those historically Black colleges, to connecting them to Seneca College. So we have the college, we have the university. There's one of each here in Markham. Makes it fairly simple.
well,
I'm already connected with the University of York University. Is
we'd be looking at the Cal State system, and there are 2 locations that are heavily involved in agriculture related education and research.
and it doesn't need to be anything to do with agriculture or food. Actually, we want to go through the arts programs, remember?
Okay.
And it actually doesn't matter because all we're doing is engaging with the teachers and the students to have them start building the youth peace gardens in their local communities, whether it's at the school or anywhere else. That doesn't matter.
Okay, well, I have a few contacts at San Francisco State, which historically has been the most politically active university in California.
Right, so we don't even need the administration of the schools to be involved in this, right? Because we can go with the teachers and their students to have those enthusiastic teachers encourage their students to work with the rest of the community partners, to approach those corporations, to approach the Rotary clubs, to approach the community partners we're working with in our local communities, to plant youth peace gardens with them wherever they have a chance to do so, as the starting point to develop the partnerships where we're going to I don't want to say use, but we are going to leverage the enthusiasm of the young people in achieving these goals and achieving and transforming their own local communities. And they are going to be the voices that are going to go to those corporations, that are going to go to those governments with their mothers and grandmothers to say, look, you better damn well do this, right? It's going to be Greta Thunberg 20 times over.
So Lloyd, I'm just popping back in, but you know, Patrick Chung has been here from the beginning. Have you got around to introducing our guest yet?
Well, I did introduce Lisa Anise, and we've had a good conversation from that.
Then perhaps we could give all of our guests maybe a 1-minute introduction and then circle back around to a longer explanation, because again, we are challenged with our bandwidth in some cases. But Patrick was here first, and John Baptiste was here. And Stephanie, we are streaming, so we have a gallery view. So anyone that has your video on, we can share that with the audience. I'm going to pop back out again. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Always good to be reminded of all of our guests. Of course, I do like to say things usually before I forget. I have a little bit of a memory problem in that case, short term. Patrick, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Lloyd. Good morning, everybody. I'm Patrick Chun from Vancouver, Canada, and I'm a co-founder of an organization called the World Civility Index. And what it does is it's almost like your personal credit rating, but instead of measuring how well you can pay your bills, it measures how much manners you have, for example, how much civility you have. So things like your social etiquette, your empathy, your intercultural awareness, so that young people can learn about all these soft skills and get a credit through the World Civility Index, and they can show that index as proof to employers everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. So we're hoping to work closely with Patrick to engage, especially with our UN Global Compact members, as well as all the members of our local INAP collaboratives, so that they can implement the IITTI programs in our local communities, hopefully with the pilot project.
Lloyd, in that respect, while Patrick is here, I'd like to also remind you, Patrick, that you are in a prime position to provide extra value-added benefit to all the members of your civility index by providing them the opportunity to earn intern credits with us, the AHIABGA network, or with Lloyd, because I do know that Lloyd did mention he's starting an intern group. I think it would be a very good fit for those socially conscious members of your civility index if they would indicate if their interest in becoming interns for a particular period of time. Perhaps it could be as short as an hour per week or an hour per month. But I think, Lloyd, it's our responsibility now to begin to think about ways we can actually award them with certificates of participation that, of course, is not required to be recognized by their academic institution, but in many cases, it may well be, and it could contribute to their work study credit. So that would, Patrick, enhance the value that the World Civility Index is able to offer, not just to the corporations or companies, but to the individual members themselves. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's very true. The World Civility Index started off 10 years ago for the individuals. So it is the individuals who can earn something like this, and of course we can amalgamate it to become a company average number. So if these interns are going to be working for Lloyd and you, after a certain process, they can earn the World Civility Index points too, for doing something that civilization would need, and they can show it to the school admission or show it to future employers. That's a great idea.
That's exactly why I'm having this conversation with you, because if we plan that in advance with you, we can then enhance and focus specifically on those particular members of the index who may be inclined, or perhaps we could create a survey that we could then use in collaboration with you to let those that have an interest to indicate their interest, because we're not trying to force anyone to do anything, but we do want to self-empower them and let them be the ones to create their own narrative. So we will be offering through our AHIABGA ambassadors, a media ambassador, and also a social entrepreneurship ambassadorship as we go forward. But all this depends upon what the talent, skills, and interests are of each of your individual members, Patrick. But we're encouraging you to think about allowing us to perhaps share a profile questionnaire that would help to identify not just their talent, skill, or ability, but perhaps also the talent, skill, ability they'd like to learn more about, or a talent, skill, or ability they would like to teach others about or share with others. With that basic information from all of our internal network, I believe we'll find that we can create subgroups and categories of people with like-minded interests that we could then be able to provide an enhanced outcome for all the participants. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's absolutely. We can fit that like a glove. What happened is there are activities. We call them activities. So an individual and young people can join certain activities that we define, that you define, and those individuals going into the activities, they can earn certain points. So one activity could be like, I don't know, 3 points, one will be 2 points, and so on. And then the young people can say, oh, I want to join this and this and that and that. After the activities, then we can show a QR code and they can scan it, and they can show it. They can have bragging rights right on their cell phone, because we have an app to do that. And so it is with them their whole lifetime. And that is something that is wealth that they would never be able to use and deplete it.
Well,
And this is on the
congratulations.
blockchain, I believe. Yes, is that true?
No, it's not on the blockchain yet, but we could
No.
get there on the blockchain
Well,
very soon.
that's the indelible record if we ever want that truly
Well,
indelible record.
Well,
Sure,
before
yeah.
we go, well, let me revisit this one more time with you, Patrick, because another one of the ideas that we're implementing with our AHIABGA network team is to have each person to create a brief video profile of themselves. I'm not sure if this might be something of interest to you, but again, a lot of employers now are having the opportunity to, fortunately or not, they troll social media to see what they can find out about these individuals. In my previous position as a public relations director, it was discovered that it's critically important that even though there may be some bad or negative stuff out there, the only way to actually combat that is put a lot of good stuff out there. And that means that each, I would hope, of your individuals could begin to take control of their own narrative by introducing themselves, what they consider to be their, again, best talent, skill, or ability. And then perhaps through the World Civility Index, depending on your membership identifications, it may be something that you yourself could help coordinate on behalf of your membership, because in many cases, of course, privacy issues come about, and it's important to have the permissions of people before they get involved. We do have a media release form ourselves. You may want to think about including in your communications with them documents that will protect you, because the best way to manage risk is to completely avoid it. But if you go into it at the beginning by making sure everyone understands that what their rights and responsibilities are, but also their benefits, I believe, Patrick, this would be a way to multiply the amount of impact that you have. I do also want to say that one of the underutilized resources that we have is technology. And just as I've been providing here Lloyd the platform for 80 weeks or more, we'll be happy to provide a similar platform, Patrick, to your team, so that you could just schedule a time, come in, and make the video recordings on our platform at no cost, and we'll make it available to you. But what we'd like to ask is then that you do a little promo for us. So it's a reciprocal relationship that we build, not just with you individually, Patrick, but with also the members of your World Civility Index. Just another thought I'd like to follow up with you relatively soon.
Wow, Andrew, that is a huge deal. You know, having people doing their own videos. Young people, they love doing that, you know, on TikTok and all that. So by using the force, the good side, we can switch a lot of things around, and they can talk about things. This is an industry where you can have people becoming very obsessed with creating their own narrative, their own videos. And I can see all the training, all the stuff that goes in, the big iceberg where all the preparation comes up to that video that would represent who they are. That is a great thing. That is a great idea, Andrew.
So great. Well, keep in mind the Khan Academy created a worldwide audience because people actually took the time to share not just what they love, but ways that people get involved with what they love. So the next step might be, Patrick, for you to think about the evolution of what you're doing with the World Civility Index, not just for yourself, but for the individual members themselves. Technically, there was a study that someone that Lloyd knows quite well, Lloyd Corn Smith, did about a year or so ago. When you have your own database of contacts that provides you with their double opt-in permission to provide them with information, those actually create a value, and sometimes as much as $150 per name. But of course, you would have the responsibility then to monitor your relationship with those people. But I would suggest, Patrick, you think about utilizing technology in such a way that you may want to consider creating a blog, B-L-O-G, and or blog, so that your contributors could be actually the members of your World Civility Index that have particular areas of interest that could, in fact, create relationships among them that then they can move collectively together as a group, not just in their local geographic area, but perhaps globally, Patrick. And my particular interest here in Los Angeles, for example, we're fortunate to have a city mayor that's focused on the Sustainable Development Goals. Mayor Garcetti, back in 2013, created Sustainable Development Goals for Plan LA, and then the County of Los Angeles in 2016 established that. Unfortunately, here in the United States, we're none of the 50 states in the United States is even halfway towards accomplishing any of the 50 of the 17 sustainable goals. And the ones who are furthest behind are the indigenous people of African descent and Latinos. But I say that to say, Patrick, that perhaps if we can engage our youth with understanding the relevance of the sustainable development goals from a workability index standpoint and focus on those areas and issues, I believe we'll find that we can quantify an improvement in the numbers of people that are participating just by providing them the opportunity to identify themselves as being aligned with one or more of those goals. That's another thought when you talk about your ESG measurement. All that's based upon measurement, quantifiable outcomes. And so, Patrick, you're in a prime position, I think, to enhance your own organization, but also the individual members of your organization as you move forward. And I've got to get on to my next meeting, but I did want to share that with you. Love you all.
Great.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew.
Go ahead if you'd like to say a few follow-up comments on that as well, Patrick. I think it's very important that we work closely with Andrew in coordinating, again, our efforts between activities that we're doing in Canada and, again, activities that are happening in Los Angeles in the US through the UnityNet USA and UnityNet California, which is actually headed by Lisa Anise. So I'm hoping to ask, or Emmanuel, perhaps, to introduce himself, if he's available. If not, we can perhaps have Lowell.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, hi, Lloyd. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm a sole proprietor architect in Toronto. I've been trying to, I guess, call out the importance of urban agriculture within the Chinese community, and also, I would apply for grants. I think I'm an adopt designer, so I would use these low cost and upcycle materials to hopefully install a basic as a rain barrel, food grade barrel that I was able to design a stand that would keep it in place using 2 pieces of 2x8s the whole year. You don't have to, even it will hold the barrel in place even when the barrel is empty. So you don't have to do anything throughout the whole year. But I don't seem to attract a lot of interest. I think people think it's too low tech in the big cities. And then we would also repurpose the barrels into a planter with sub-irrigation using repurposed plastics, so that at the bottom of the barrel, you get when we put it sideways and built a funky wood design piece to prop it up, so that you don't have to bend down to garden. And it has recycled plastic jugs as water reservoirs. And also, I recently wrote this essay really about the problems with modern architecture, everything from the material and the notion that we have to question how things are made. And usually man-made materials, usually you have to burn a lot of coal and natural gas. And then just to bring back all those ancient principles, architectural principles, like cross ventilation and having a current, a flow that would move air, Venturi effect, and passive solar, and now there's a movement to not do basements because when you do basements, you have to use very heavy, intensive petrochemicals to waterproof that enclosure, which is underground. It's madness. It's madness when the whole world follows that tradition of burning fossil fuels to make a sculptural piece of architecture. It's not. It's detrimental for the health of the planet. Thank you.
So thank you, Lowell. I think this does require a conversation, and hopefully what we will do as we move forward, especially with creating PodNet GTA, there is a focus on architecture and architects. And at the beginning of this call, Andrew mentioned a gentleman by the name of Michael Rendler. So Michael in Los Angeles is an architect himself, I believe, as well. And they are working closely, again, with those historically Black colleges to teach young people about the concepts of the regenerative design, regenerative building design. And so if you could become, for instance, a consultant for this new PodNet GTA, and the PodNet is a global cooperative. We can start, especially I think the possibility is that we could start teaching young people, especially in Africa, also in these marginalized communities across the US and elsewhere, about all of these concepts, so they can begin as we think about redesigning our cities, to think about these, as you say, ancient ways of designing our buildings, and not doing stupid things that require the fossil fuels in order to build this what we need in our communities. So thank you, Lowell. Is there anybody else? I'm seeing Stephanie is coming on with us now. Did you wish to introduce yourself, Stephanie? Are you able to? I know Stephanie, the last time I talked to her was in Hawaii. So not sure what her internet is like.
Yeah, she was saying that she couldn't go on the mic.
Oh, okay. All right. So who do we have? We have Doris, I'm seeing. Doris Kamagara has come on with us as well. Did you wish to introduce yourself, Doris?
Oh, yes, thank you so much, Professor Lloyd. I hope I can be heard.
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. I'm called Doris Kamagara from Uganda. I'm happy to be part of the meeting. Sorry for joining in late.
No problems. We have a little bit of an open format today. We did have a guest speaker who was scheduled to come on with us, but I'm not sure exactly what happened there. There's always some issues, it seems, every once in a while for these IGU Summit events. So this is the second of our IGU Summits for 2023, as I noted earlier. I did want to mention as well that today being January 12th, there is no day, but I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier on, but here in Canada yesterday, January 11th, was the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, which was actually also celebrated as part of the things that we've been doing here. And actually, one thing I've got to be into the chat for those who wish to follow along on these events. So perhaps I could ask you, Doris, what is your involvement in